Thank you very much, Anako. This is the really last moment of this entire day session. I'd like to call all panelists to come here, including the President Fujii, Mahi, Kazuki, all come, according to this order. Kazuki and Mahi here, and President. Thank you very much. This is concluding session according to their program. This is how to govern our global commons, and this is a conversation with youth. Conversation between whom, the president, and we have two excellent young leaders here, and I would like to encourage the conversation between the president and our youth. Actually, one of the main policy of President Fujii is a conversation, talking or conversation is one of the major kind of methods to communicate for governing the entire university. So I'd like to request, these two fellows, Mahi and Kazuki, has been here from the morning, actually before the session starts, and prepared before this, today's, and you have an intensive learning process for last few hours. So why don't I invite both of you to open your mouths in order to appeal to audience or even our president, what kind of things you learned and what kind of request you have. Can I ask Mahi to start?
Sure, thank you so much for this opportunity. There was a lot that we talked about from the morning today, and thank you so much for all the panelists for sharing your experience and wisdom. And as an environmental science student, I just graduated, finished my master's in environmental sciences. It's difficult for me to sit through these panels and not think about the irony about putting nature on the balance sheet, where it's really about trying to protect nature from humans who are probably the biggest threat to nature, and then we have to put it on the balance sheet to do that. But then the flip side of that is this is ultimately about making sustainability and these initiatives palatable and packaging and kind of designing them in a way that can really be penetrating into every field, right? To actually get to that point where we're reaching the great turnover that Dr. Rockstrom was talking about, to make it a reality. So it's about kind of not fighting against the system, but kind of figuring out a smart way through the system. And so it's good to see kind of both sides of that. And I'm glad that we touched a little bit on the utilitarian view of nature and all of that. And then the other word that kind of stuck out to me was the idea of standardization, right? Because I participated in a biodiversity collage workshop, which is based on the IPBES reports, kind of trying to make them digestible to the general public. And we learned about the word standardization there as well, but in the different sense of where you have large multinational corporations kind of standardizing. So, for example, in Japan, I talk about bananas, right? You find them every day of the year you can buy a banana in the supermarket, even though bananas aren't really something that grow at every day of the year, right? They're seasonal fruits. But if you think about the system that is put into place to make sure that we have bananas available in supermarkets every day of the year, right? That is another form of standardization. Of course, the form that we were talking about is about standardizing the process in which we evaluate nature and how we can measure it so that it's comparable between different parts of the world. So you see both sides of this, and the irony is that, I think the word standardization is actually the opposite of diversity, right? It's like the exact opposite of that. So we kind of need standardization to ensure that we protect our biodiversity. And so I think there's a lot of caveats that we have in this very interesting conversation, the way that we use words and what they mean in different contexts as well. And this kind of brings me to my learnings throughout the University of Tokyo as well. I think my master's research was about student-led sustainability initiatives. And universities are such an incredible place for that because there's a lot of literature already looking at how universities are a microcosm of society in a sense, right? It's kind of like a little city where you have all these different elements. And in that sense, a lot of academics have pointed at how the university can be a living laboratory for sustainability initiatives as well. It's a testing ground for new ideas and innovation to happen. And that is also another way in which students become empowered to become change makers, right? For them to believe that when they step into society, they have the power to create change. When you're studying in university, you don't have the pressure of pleasing your shareholders as a student. Maybe you do, President Fujii, but as students, we don't necessarily have to think about it. And so as I now will transition into working in a full-time position, that's the part of my concerns as well, is still maintaining that integrity that I've gained through being somewhat free, in university, to explore and do whatever I want without the pressure of earning money and pleasing shareholders. So yeah, I wonder how I can step into that and maintain my integrity. So I'd love to hear any advice that both of you have on that. Thank you.
You have an opportunity to anytime come back to university. Shall I continue to him and then maybe you react, or you want to react now? Okay. Okay, so I like invite Kazuki. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kazuki, and I'm currently studying at under Aoki Sensei, and I'm studying in hydrology. And my research topic is about how climate conditions have influenced human development or human population distribution. So I have always always have interest in this field. And let me express how I felt today's conference. First of all, I was so surprised and impressed how the presenters, who are mainly like middle-aged presenters, like in their 50s, are considering, some of them 60s, sorry. And I was so surprised that they are considering very seriously about the, how we can variate the nature capital. And considering how many years left for them, I don't think it's, life expectancy is getting longer, and sorry, and I don't want to be rude. Long live to everyone. But as a younger generation, I respect that. Like, people with middle-aged generation are doing this kind of great work. So we have to do more. Like, younger generation have a responsibility to continue to research and make the world better. Yep. And actually, I'm not that like passionate guy like you. And my motivation of research is just pure curiosity. I'm like studying about the climate change for like 3 years, but my motivation is just curiosity. Like, I want to know what happens if we continue our way of living in 30 years. So that's my motivation, and I think that's one of the like important driver to promote the research. So I think it's very important to combine the research-driven, like curiosity-driven research and problem-solving oriented research. So I think we have to, and UTokyo have to combine both to make the world better. Yep. And what else? So I think I'm supposed to say my expectation to society. So my message and my request to society is, please keep collaborating globally, okay? And I'm very worried about what's happening in many countries. Like, there are so many countries who are putting their national interests on first, and there are so many countries who are facing like anti-immigration sentiment. And I think it's a huge problem, okay? So do you think the leader who is committing full-scale invasion to the next country is considering the climate change or something like that? No, I don't think so. So first of all, when we consider these problems, we have to restore the secure and peaceful and stable international order. That's the essential conditions. So please, like, I think you guys are like pretty much the basic top leaders of different fields. So I ask you to do your best to restore the peaceful and stable international orders. And we younger generations do our best as well. Okay. Yeah, that's my topic.
Thank you. Thank you, Kazuki. Curiosity is the first things as a researcher to value. We were like that as a start. Of course, the world is very complicated. We have changed like that at 60, 50, after 20 or 30 years ago, after. Anyway, so now I'd like to invite President Fujii to respond to young people.
So you, both of you covered so many, points. But in the, right, so the last part and also the Tsuda-san's last point, and also Mahi-san, Patki-san, Mahi-san. As point around this standardization and diversity and so on and so forth. In any case, so it's so important to think about. In fact, in the previous session, there was also the discussion around these incentives, how incentivize the people to follow all these. For example, the value of the HPC was discussed. But then when we installed a new system like nature on the balance sheet, for example, I guess you discussed about that here. So all these systems should be, if you like to implement that, but then so people or country or whatever the organization should, we need to think how let them follow that. So that is the most important part of the, consideration that we need to take. Otherwise, it doesn't work in any case. So that is one thing I felt, and also, I'm always feeling that, but in fact, but also thinking about these kind of new things, it's so important to think about how to incentivize people. And then for that, what we think for now is it's so important to introduce this idea of design. So that is why we are also trying to set up the new college for new program based on this design expertise. So what we mean by design is not only for the beauties, but also for all of these social systems and international rules and so on. So, and then the design is in principle starting from how, or starting from the observation of the users or citizens or individuals, how they will behave when you do something, when you introduce something, or when you provide something. So that in that sense it is from my viewpoint, it's we always need need to think about this part of design part of the idea when we think about this program new system over to this society or like international scenes or whatever. That is one thing. And what else? Oh, so then the idea of living lab is really nice. And so this is for sustainability initiative, which is very nice. But also the university is a place where so many, people with different backgrounds are working or like taking some actions in here. So then my thought was, for example, to think about for example, if we have a big disaster here, like a big earthquake here or big fire here, then it is also so important for us to think about this type of, put in place this measure as a university, but with very diverse people working there or studying there. And those people are from the different countries or regions and so on and so forth. And also the generation will be from very young to like over 60s and so on. So that, so this is also a kind of a miniature cosmos. So it's definitely this living lab compared to the whole society. But if you think about when we have a big earthquake in Tokyo, then we definitely need to think about the same thing. So that so like this way, it's so important for us also to implement something on our campus, and then involving so many different types of people, and then with this incentives. So that is So that the idea of a living lab is very nice. So I hope students can take the more initiatives to do something new for this nature positive and sustainable campus activities. And also about the motivation of the research. So you talked about, Tsuda-san talked about this curiosity-driven and sort of mission-oriented research. So both are not, so in fact, when you do something, some research works, it's not so we don't think about those kinds of characteristics, and it's not, so most of the research cannot be easily categorized into the curiosity-driven thing or mission-driven thing. And so what is important is, in fact, last week we had a meeting with all these more than 10 Nobel laureates in life sciences here. And they also went to the RIKEN Institute the day before. So they talking about know the unknowns, and also know the unknowns, and also there will be unknown unknowns. And we need to think about those things. And then also they were talking about this make impossible possible. So that these are the kind of things that we can, so from my background is, so I'm an engineer by training, so that I'm more on the kind of make impossible possible side. But so there are so many different types of motivation that we can have. But the important thing is to think about such kind of, what is unknown, but this unknown is the reason is that you just don't know about that, or it's kind of globally unknown. And then so that there are so many unknowns around us, right? So that in that sense, it is a sort of curiosity to drive all these things to discover, for us to discover. But then at a certain moment, we also can see that something that we want to make it into reality, right? So that is almost like make impossible possible. So there are so many different types of motivation. So I think it's naturally, so all these research works can naturally be combined together. So, so may I ask some questions, or for both of you? Yes. So then I think my question, so question from me is, currently we are also very much aware of the importance of how we could communicate all these important discussions to the broader public. So you also talk about the communication over to the general public. So that do you have any good ideas for the, we are, as discussed, we are like in the age of, 60s or 50s, 60s. So, but then now, so you are very much familiar with all these social media and new communication tools and so on and so forth. And also, the words that we are using normally in the research work is, so much complicated for the general public to understand, right? So, that do you have any good ideas on how we could better communicate all these activities?
Yeah, I think it's very good question, and it's very important. And I suppose some people feel like scientists are like kind of annoying teachers, like saying from top of the society, and you should do that, you should do that, you should do that, you shouldn't do these kind of things because it's bad for environment. And if you say like that, people feel, what is this guy? It's so annoying, right? So the important thing and the effective way to convey the scientific results to the broader like people is to how to convey how fun it is to consider the climate change, how enjoyable it is to do scientific research. And if we want to do it that way, we have to simplify the research a little bit, but if we oversimplify, that can be a lie. So that's a very difficult point. We have to keep the balance between simplification and the telling the truth. So that's very important and difficult, but we have to make sure everyone, as many people as possible can understand our results, and as many people as possible can understand how enjoyable it is to do scientific research. So that's the important factors to convey the results to the general public, I think.
Very nice. It's kind of trying to convey this joy of research, is very important.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And before I answer that question, I wanted to go back to what you were saying about sustainability initiatives. And there are many, many students in UTokyo and other universities as well who are, have great ideas, who want to and are leading sustainability initiatives. And at the University of Tokyo, we've come a really long way since I matriculated into the university and joined the university. And we've come to a stage where students can have ideas and be heard, right? And we have the Center of Strategic Promotion of Green Transformation. That's the new one that's already being formulated, and that's providing support for students to kind of implement these projects. But I think one kind of limitation that we have at the moment is human resources from the administrative side, right? So the student body is so vast. There are, I think, tens of thousands of students within the University of Tokyo alone. And you can imagine how many brilliant ideas are emerging from those. And then if the university is to then support all of these ideas, we need that level of administrative support. So all the professors and administration staff that I have worked with already are incredibly supportive and maybe a little bit overworked. So I feel like perhaps that's another point where we need to kind of expand the administrative support to actually be able to realize all of these wonderful initiatives to advance UTokyo's climate action plan, for example. And then that also brings me to the question about how do we communicate to the broader community. And I think, again, student initiatives can be part of that because we have been organizing many, many events that have been open to the general public. Of course, participation rates are a little bit low, as you can expect. But we've been trying to be creative with the way that we have our events, right? We organized the Sustainability Week for the first time in 2023, which you participated in, and that initiative has expanded to being an inter-university collaboration. So last year we had about 4 or 5 universities, this year again. And so we are trying to, as students, we're trying to organize these events or hosting workshops which are interactive, like the Climate Fresk workshop. Students are running these workshops and educating other people about them. So I think there's a lot of creative ways in which we can engage with the general public, and maybe we need a little bit more administrative support to go even further.
Right, yes. So for this shortage of administrative support, will be also so this issue is, connected to the kind of understanding of the shareholders, that we need to dig out some more. We need to have some more support from also the outside the university to get some more. For them to put in some more resources into the university to help out all these activities, so that, and then for that we definitely need to, communicate all these activities to the public. So these are kind of really a kind of large scale. So we, not only for the individual universities, but also for the whole I mean, all these activities around sustainability and SDGs and so on. So we need to think about that, the very, I mean, large scale virtuous cycle of the communication and also investment, in fact. So that, so once we also had the same kind of discussion with this Undersecretary for Communication of the UN when she was here, then so this, I mean, communication itself, but this is not only for like let the general public know about what UN is doing, but also for this, I mean, exactly the discussion that we had, like a value of the activities, and then trying to let all the stakeholders to make some more investments over to these activities. So that it's, yes, I mean, your point is really kind of hitting the right spot. So.
Thank you. Everybody, time passes really quick. We have to close today's concluding session by thanking to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So this is now the real conclusion. I hope that everybody enjoyed today's forum. It is not my first time to organize this kind of forum, but it is definitely the first time to was thanked by the youth and being serious about the future of the planet. So, but I don't just want to return to the same thing to you, the youth. It's going to be your future. You got to be worried about it. You got to work hard. So not only just us that continue to work hard, but then I hope that you could continue to do your part. Mahi-san, I was really interested in what you said, that you said that the nature of the balance sheet is kind of quite irony, but this actually that signifies and signal that what kind of unprecedented time we are in, that the planetary scientists tell us that we were totally out of balance with our planetary system. And that is why we need to really shake our economic system, because our system is so old and what matters has changed so much. Now what matters is more like natural capital, but the system doesn't do it. That's why we need this shocking kind of thing. But I think this title, Nature on the Balance Sheet, already shock you. So I think that we have to be very happy about that choosing this very kind of agitating title. So now I really would like to thank the entire audience, that including online. Thank you so much for staying so late and with us the whole day. I hope that I hope that we leave you that some kind of thought, that the food of thought or energy going forward. I'd like to thank RIKEN and President Gonokami for your leadership and support. A lot of RIKEN staff today that also participating in the discussion, which is very good. I would like to thank the UTokyo. President Fujii show up from Kyoto. I think that thank you so much for the long trip. And then the Fukushi sensei, where you okay, that are moderating this very difficult session, the concluding session, and the other colleague. But lastly, but not the least, I would like to thank my team, which is really a small team, but working so hard to make it happen without much difficulties, but without your really hard work, we couldn't have done it. So thank you so much, my team. All right, and for international travelers, safe travel back home. Okay.